Mic check. 1 2 1 2. Mic check. Check 1, check 2, check 1, check 2. Far off. Okay, this should be fine. You don't seem to be hearing the fan in the back, so that's great. Welcome everyone to a new playthrough on the channel. And when I say playthrough, I will mean a read through, because today we are beginning to experience one of the greatest work of fiction, at least according to its cultists, which is Umineko no Naku Koroni, or When They Cry Umineko. You may or may not be familiar with the When They Cry series, which is a supernatural mystery series with quite a lot of gruesome stuff going on. Hey there, Sky. Um, I will start the game. We will do the audio balance. Sorry if I break your ears. Um, when it boots up. Might also break mine. And you don't seem to be seeing anything. Uh, oh, Hyaku, I should have known it was you. Should have sensed it. Okay, all good. What am I supposed to do? Won't go full screen, it won't do anything, it won't let me. Oh, yes, it does. Full screen, window size, 1080p, game language English, keyboard mouse, apply, and now you should see. Yeah, you sense the game beginning. Yes, you see it. So it is a pre-prepared patch given to me by our lovely Yaku, which includes the PS3 visuals plus the voiceover, which is, as I understood, the best version of the experience. So I wonder, is the sound okay? Do you hear the seagulls in the back? Actually, is the balance okay? Cannot hit a little, okay. Will it sound better? Cool. So let's jump right into it. Episode 1, Legend of the Golden Witch. Welcome to Rokkanjima. The Golden Witch extends you her heartfelt greetings. Before anything else, please make yourself at home. There is nothing to think too deeply about. Just be silent and take in the events in their entirety as they unfold. That is all that is asked of you. The difficulty level is standard. Let us at least begin on the trodden road. Well, encouraging. This story is indubitably nothing more than fantasy. Hey, I was reading this.
またお酒をたしなまれましたな。
How do you know? The old physician let out a sigh as he removed the stethoscope. Two elderly men could be seen in the dimly lit study, which was filled with dust and a sickly sweet stench. In the corner of this room, which was much larger than what most people would call a study, there was an expensive-looking bed, a man undergoing a medical examination, and the physician conducting it. There was also what appeared to be a servant watching over the whole scene.
酒は我が友だ。お前に負けぬ友人であり、そしてお前よりも付き合いが長い。
The man who had bared his chest for the stethoscope spoke unapologetically as he straightened out his clothes.
金蔵さん、あんたの体が一見調子がいいのは薬が効いてるからだ。だが、そんな強い酒を飲み続けては薬の意味もなくなってしまう。悪いことは言わん。酒は控えなさい。忠告の気持ちだけはありがたくいただいておく。我が友よ、元気。もう一杯頼む。心持ち薄めでな。南條の顔も立ててやれ。よろしいのですか。
After eyeing both the master, who demanded the alcohol, and his doctor, who forbade it, Genji, the old butler, silently gave a slight nod and carried out his master's orders faithfully. Nanjo, the man's personal doctor, let out a deep sigh once again, as he watched the butler busy himself alongside the liquor cabinets. There was a smell filling up the room. This sweet, poisonous aroma felt as though it melted the heart, if not the soul itself. It was the smell of that venomous green drink that the man couldn't bring himself to part from.
南條、お前は私の長きにわたる親友だ。今日まで私をながらえさせてくれたことを深く感謝する。私は何も医者としての忠告など金蔵さんは全く聞いてくれませんからな。 お前とて差し間違えた手を待てと言っても聞かぬではないか。ならば愛子というものだろう。
親方様。
すまぬ。薬は切れても死にはせんが、こいつが切れては死んでしまうでな。
With one eye on Nanjo, who had his face set in a resigned expression, Kinzo took the glass that Genji was holding out to him. There are probably very few people who would associate that venomous color which filled the glass with an alcoholic beverage.
南條、正直に話せ。私の命はあとどの程度持つ？
さて、どのくらいと申し上げればそのお酒を控えてくれますやな。
Nanjo once again let out a sigh of resignation. As he watched Kinzo down the glass regardless, he spoke.
長くはありませんな。
どの程度に長くないというのだ？
このチェスで例えましょう。金蔵さんの詰めもなかなかですが、私のキングを追い詰めるには至りますまい。
Nanjo's gaze was directed at the side table with a stately chess set placed on top of it. Judging by the positioning of the pieces, the match was well into the endgame. The black rook and bishop were cutting deeply into the enemy lines. The white king had already been castled and cornered, so that even an amateur could see that the match would reach its conclusion before too long. Every time Nanjo came to give a medical examination, both of them would make a few moves. Nanjo was stating with confidence that Kinzo would most likely fall into his eternal sleep before this game could be concluded. These were less the words of a physician than they were the words of an old friend.
普通の患者になら遺言を書くよう勧める頃です。
遺言とは何だ南條。私の屍をどのように食い散らかせとハゲタカどもに指南する書き置きなのか。
いや、違いますぞ。遺言は意思を残すことだ。遺産分配のことだけを書くものじゃない。
ほう。遺産分配以外に書くこととは何なのか。
心残りややり残し、受け継いでほしいことや伝えたいこと、何でもいいんです。
受け継いでほしいことや伝えたいことだと？バカバカしい。この後ろ宮金蔵、後に残したいことも伝えたいこともただの一つもないわ。裸一貫で生まれた。そして裸一貫で死ぬ。バカ息子どもに残したいものなど何一つないわ。もしも訪れる最後が今日だとしても今だとしても、私は何も恐れることなくその死の運命を受け入れようではないか。
金蔵さん、
全てを築き上げた。富も名誉も全てだ。それらは私と共に築き上げられ、私と共に失われよう。後に残してやるものなど何もないわ。何もない。あとは野となれ山となれ。墓も棺も何も望まぬわ。それが魔女と私の契約だ。 私が死ぬ時に全てを失う。初めからその約束だからこそ何も残らぬのだ。何も残せぬのだ。
Sir, we told you to hold off on the liquor. You seem to not have listened. After reaching a furious crescendo, Kinzo suddenly slumped over. His expression was limp and feeble, as though an evil spirit had possessed him and then left.
だが未練がある。残すものは何一つないが、残したまま行けぬものが一つだけある。
ほう。
それを書き記せばいい。もちろん生きているうちにこなせればそれでいい。だが万一の時、残された者がそれを引き継いでくれる。自分に万一があっても必ずその心残りが解決できるように残していく。それが遺言というものです。
When Nanjo tried to gently pat Kinzo's shoulder, the dying man flew into a sudden rage and batted away Nanjo's hand. Okay, okay.
ダメだダメだダメだ。私が生きているうちでなくてはならぬ。私は死ねば魂はすぐに契約の悪魔に食らわれて消え去ってしまう。死後の世界も安らぎも私にはないのだ。だから全ては私が生きているうちでなければならぬ。だから遺言状など私には必要ない。そのようなものを書く暇があったなら私は見たい。もう一度見たい。ベアトリーチェの微笑む顔がもう一度見たい。
Simp.
はあ、ベアトリーチェ、なぜに私をこれほどまでに拒むのか。今こそお前に与えられた全てを返そう。全てを失おう。だから最後にもう一度だけお前の美少を見せてくれ。ベアトリーチェ、頼む、交渉だ。聞こえているはずだ。お前はそういう女だ。頼む、姿を見せてくれ。いるんだろう。聞こえていながら姿を消し、今もこの部屋のどこかで私を嘲笑っているのだろう。私の前にもう一度現れてくれ。そして微笑んでくれ。なじってくれてもいい。望むならお前の手で私の命を奪ってくれてもいい。このまま一人で死にたくない。お前の微笑みを再び一目見るまでは絶対に死ねないのだ。ああ、ベアトリーチェ、ベアトリーチェ、この命はくれてやる。お前にくれてやる。交渉だ、ベアトリーチェ。
Give this man his pills. Of course, you're opening with all the potential spoilers. Never. Never. I mean, I probably know already a lot of what I'm seeing in the opening since I've seen the anime, so probably no spoiler for me, at least here. And if they are, I don't know them because I more or less know the context, but not the exact story after that. I must say though, the visuals are stunning. I couldn't help but scratch my head and marvel at how far things have come in recent. Jesus Christ, my addiction. Let's start this over. It is dégueulasse. I couldn't help but scratch my head and marvel at how far things have come in recent years. We used to go by boat. Back then we were all forced to endure nearly half a day of swaying back and forth over the sea before we reached Niijima. Things have gotten so much more convenient these days. Still, I've never been on a plane this small. I've flown in a huge jumbo jet before, but this will be my first experience in such a tiny one. It's going to shake, isn't it? They say that smaller boats shake more, so I guess the same rule probably applies to planes. Just spare me.
大丈夫だよ、バトラー君。
I forgot that he had such a stupid name.
船に比べたら全然揺れは少ないよ。
おい、ジョージの兄貴かよ。急に勘弁してくれよ。今ので寿命が3年縮んじまったぜ。つうか、揺れってなんすか？別に俺は飛行機も揺れんのかな、まさか落ちたりしねえかななんて夢にも思っちゃいないぜ。
So you're telling me that George is initially the cliché of a bourgeois. Is that what you're saying? Small, fat, gentle with megane, yeah. So he's a good bourgeois.
ごめんごめん。もう小さい頃とは違うよね。あれから6年も経ってるんだし、もうバトラ君も子供じゃないか。
じゃあ兄貴はタバコも酒も OK ってかよ。タバコは興味ねえけど酒は飲んでみたいよな。兄貴なんかおじさんの遺伝子あんなら相当飲めちゃいそうだけど。
僕の場合は好きで飲むというよりは仕事で飲む方が多いからね。日本のビジネスは酒抜きでは難しいよ。
そうっすよね。だから俺も今晩の夕食あたりに初挑戦。
ダメだよ。バトラ君はまだ未成年じゃないか。未成年の飲酒は発育に悪影響を及ぼす可能性がって。
こんだけタッパがありゃ俺の発育は十分っすから。むしろちょいと身長縮めた方が服が探しやすいくらい。
I don't think that's the kind of growth we're talking about here. I puffed my chest, how proud. Oh, Jesus Christ, my diction. Until I hit my growth spurt, my height was below average in my class. Then I grew and grew, and before I knew it, I was over 180 centimeters. I guess I have all that muscle training and those shady mail order performance enhancing drugs to thank for that. Wait. So he's a way guy. He's doing drugs, yo. Bad boy. Before then, I'd never dreamed that I'd shoot 10 centimeters above George Haneke, who'd reached his peak height early on. I mean, drugs in probably... what do they say in the original? Do they talk about taking supplements or things like that? Damn, I bet my relatives all say, "Look how big you've grown, Butler-chan!" or something. That kind of thing is really embarrassing, so I hope they cut me a break. Anyway, my name, Butler. Well, it's pretty damn weird, don't you think? Thanks for mentioning it yourself. I got to wonder what my parents were thinking when they gave me that name. I've never met anyone who could read it first the right time, yes? Who could read it right the first time. I usually get called Sento-kun. Sento, so Butler is actually Battler. Oh, okay, I get it. I get it. Because a battler is someone who does battles. Sento, which is a battle, Sento-kun. So they literally call him Fight-kun. Okay. Too bad, swing and miss. My name is written... I don't read moon runes. Sorry. No, I can't. I can't read this. First part is my family name, Ushiromiya. That's fairly plausible Japanese pronunciation so far. The problem is my own name. Yeah, okay. Yeah, he explains it himself. Butler is made out of the characters for fight and person, and it's pronounced Battler. Batora. Ah. Put it all together and you've got Ushiromiya Batora. Pretty crazy, right? It's crazy now that my parents decided to call me that, but it's even more crazy that some government worker will let them make it official. Hi Shu! Both groups are at the top of my must-kill list. Anyway, this. I'm telling you, I'm really lost. Anyway, this is one of my cousins. His name is Ushiromiya George. He's 5 years older than me, so he's probably turning 23 this year. So, okay. Since the Ushiromiya cousins consist of 2 boys and 3 girls, I ended up playing with George all the time. And because I've always thought of him as a big brother, I still call him Aniki today.
しかしバトラ君は大きくなったな。男子3日を合わざれば刮目して待つべしとはよう言うたもんや。
やっぱり血かしらね。ルドルフも高校くらいまでは身長そんなになかったのよ。成長期が遅い方が最終的には伸びるのかもね。
I know this voice. I know this voice, but I can't put a name on it.
んなことないっすよ。男は中身も伴わなくっちゃ。
そうや。バトラ君は分かっとる。男は中身で勝負なんや。常に己の鍛錬を忘れたらあかん。そして虎視眈々とチャンスを待ってドカンと開花させるんや。わしもまさか今日会社社長なんて一国一城の主になれるとは思わんかった。そうや、あの無一文の焼け野原がわしの原点なんや。
This portly and slightly chubby man is George Aniki's dad, Uncle Hideyoshi. He's the husband of Dad's older sister. In other words, we're not blood related. He's nice to children, sociable all the time, even quick to give out some spending money to us kids. Simply put, he's an awesome uncle. He speaks in an old and very noticeable Kansai style dialect, seemingly of his own creation, but he's actually a natural-born counterman. Apparently, leaving an impression is everything in the business world, so speaking in a different style than other people is an act, and that makes him stick out more. However, I hear that he gets embarrassed when talking within earshot of a real Kansai person, so he switches back to standard Japanese. I don't really get it, but he's definitely an interesting person.
すぐ自分の自慢話に入っちゃうのがたまに傷なのよね。およしなさいな。バトラ君、耳にタコができちゃってるんだから。ねえ。
そんなことねえっすよ。でもいいじゃないっすか。語れる武勇伝があるってのは男としてかっこいいことだと思いますよ。俺なんか語るような話は何もないっすからね。
あらそう？バトラ君なんかそのルックスでいっぱい女の子を泣かせてそうだからさぞかし武勇伝が多そうだと思ったんだけど。
うわあ、情報弾じゃないっすよ。そんな妙な武勇伝あるわけないじゃない。
Whoa, 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 whoa. Okay, What?
あらそう？
Okay, I apparently touched the mouse wheel. And weird things happened.
むしろ紹介してほしいくらいっす。
あら、あるんでしょ武勇伝。おばさんにも後で教えてね。ジョージったらそういう浮ついた話が全然ないんだから。
This is my aunt and George Aniki's mother, Auntie Eva. She's my dad's older sister. She and Uncle Hideyoshi are a pair of jokers, and they've always teased me back as far as I can remember. This sometimes made them a bit hard to get along with when I was small. That said, I'm currently in the process of discovering that they still are hard to get along with. Even so, George Aniki's family is interesting and fun, and they seem to get along just fine. Sheesh, that's pretty much the total opposite of my family.
バトラ君、ルドルフさんを見なかった？
あ、さっきお手洗いに行くのを見ましたけど、まだ出てこないんすか？こりゃぽっくりいっちまったかな。ナムナムナムナム。
自分のお父さんにそんな言い方はないでしょ。まあ、あの人のお手洗いが長いのは今に始まったことじゃないしね。
ああ、あんにゃろは昔っからそうです。雑誌持ってトイレに入るのやめてほしいんすよね。何の雑誌持ち込んで何をしてんだか。
あら、そんな心配は全然不要よ。私と一緒にいる以上、そんなこと一人でさせやしないもの。
That is too much information, ma'am.
何の話か後でじっくり聞きたいっすね。親父め、玉まで握られてグーの音も出ないわけだ。
握っとかないとどういうことになるかよーくわかってるでしょ。
いやいや、まったくあのクソ親父の手綱はキリエさんにしか無理っすよ。実の息子の俺も喜んで譲っちゃいますわ。
ええ、任せてちょうだい。そういうの得意なのよ。
This woman is my dad's wife. Her name is Ushiromiya Kirie. As you can probably tell from our conversation, she's not my real mother. She's basically my stepmother. My real mom died 6 years ago. Kirie-san is the woman that married afterwards. I mean, I'm not a kid anymore. It's way too late now for me to start calling his second wife mom. And I doubt she feels like using the word son on this massive kid who's no relation to her at all. We are little kids. We know there's nothing to be gained by fighting, so we decided that we wouldn't force ourselves to pretend that we were family. I've decided to act a bit more frank with her, as though she's a friendly neighbor instead. It's much easier to just keep a little distance instead of forcing ourselves to act all close and making each other uncomfortable. Kirie-san has been very open about all this, and thanks to that, we've been able to get along pretty well. As we are capitalizing on that being away in the bathroom to badmouth him, the man himself came back, wiping his hands with a handkerchief.
バトラ
なんだよ親父。いっててててて。耳つねんな、耳。
また母さんと俺の悪口を言ってたろ。なんでお前には父親に対する尊敬の念ってやつがわかねえんだ。
いでででででででででででで。ああ、いでえよクソ親父。俺の耳伸ばしたって空は飛べねえぞおい。
ほれほれ、縦縦横横丸書いて逆に回して倍率どんどんさらに2倍。
Is he playing like Street Fighter with his ears? Like,
お父様、失礼なこと言ってごめんなさいって言ってみろ。
冗談じゃねえぜ。そういうのは会員制のお店でやりやがるってんだ。だから話せって。
This old bastard is my dad. I think I'm pretty tall, but Dad's about the same height. It's probably no surprise that Auntie Eva started talking about Dad's blood when she saw my height. By the way, my height isn't the only thing I got from him. It seems having weird names runs in the family. Dad's full name is written something. No, I still cannot read it. Not many could, I'll tell you that. Bet. That mess of characters is pronounced Rudolph. He must hate Grandfather for giving him that name. Yes, I bet he would. I would as well. Still, that's no reason to pass that weird naming tradition on to me. As the old bastard twisted my ear all over the place, Auntie Eva snuck up behind him and grabbed his ear.
こらこらルドルフ、息子に乱暴してるんじゃないわよ。
言ってよ、姉貴。
That scene before me was a perfect realization of the trope of the older sister who deals out punishment to her prankster younger brother despite his size.
エヴァ姉さん、そのくらいにしてあげてください。同じ分、後で反対の耳を私が引っ張って伸ばしておきますので。
あら、ごめんなさいね。キリエさんの引っ張る分も残しておかなくっちゃ。ルドルフ、後でたっぷりキリエさんにお仕置きしてもらいなさいね。
たく、姉貴こそ弟いじめもいいとこだぜ。秀吉兄さんもこんな姉貴を拾ってくれて本当にありがとうございます。兄さんの寛大さがなかったら今でもまだ売れ残ってますよ。弟として申し訳ないです。
誰が売れ残るって？
After taking 2 or 3 steps back, Auntie Eva unleashed one of her beautiful high reverse roundhouse kicks, which stopped just a centimeter away from the tip of Dad's nose. After starting out with Tai Chi Chuan, or figure, Auntie Eva had then developed an interest in the Chinese martial arts. After that, she went through karate, taekwondo, capoeira, and what is it she's learning now again? Well, anyway, they say a woman's weapons are in her lower body, and that's literal true for Auntie Eva.
ルドルフ、側頭部直撃だと一発で混沌するわよ。この間演舞でミスって相方泡吹いちゃったんだからね。
いやいや、足癖の悪い姉貴で本当に申し訳ないです。
Dad, completely unfazed, shrugged and smiled ironically at Uncle Hideyoshi.
わしには兄弟がおらん。だからエヴァとルドルフ君のじゃれ合いを見とると胸がポカポカしてくるんや。兄弟や家族はほんまにええもんやな。
あら、ジョージ君に弟を作ってあげるという話はないんですか？もうジョージ君も立派な大人になって手も離れたでしょうから、次の子がいてもいいでしょうに。
おいおいキリエ、生まれてくる子の苦労も考えてやれよ。よくこの性悪姉貴から生まれてジョージ君はあんなにもまっすぐ育ってくれたもんさ。本当にジョージ君は偉いな。うちのボンクラに今度爪の赤を分けてやってくれよ。
そんなことないわよ。エヴァ姉さんの教育が間違ってなかったからジョージ君はあんなに素直ないい子になったんだから。 ですよね姉さん。
あらあら、そんなどうかしら。うちのジョージもまだまだ頼りなくって。そうそう、それよりお宅のエンジェちゃんはどんな具合なの？吐いちゃったって聞いたけど。
そうやそうや、久しぶりに顔が見れると思って期待してたんやで。大丈夫なんか？
いつも季節の変わり目に風邪をひくんです。どうも弱くって。本当は連れてきたかったんですけど、今回は私の実家に面倒見てもらっています。
それが賢明よ。本家の毒気に当てない方が治りは早いもの。大人の都合より子供の病気の方が大事よ。
わしな、白風邪によう効く薬知っとんや。帰ったらすぐ送るさかい使うてくれや。
ありがとうございます、秀吉兄さん。いつもお世話になりっぱなしで。
And once the conversation suddenly veered off in that direction, we kids didn't have any chance of butting in. For now, I'm just happy that Auntie Eva gave Dad his just desserts for tugging on my ear.
まだ天候調査中がなくならないね。
Georgianiki pointed at the counter. The pending weather clearance sign was still stuck next to the scheduled departure time for the flight we are scheduled to board. According to Aniki, small planes are more subject to winds and other effects of the weather, and it's not at all uncommon for flights to be delayed because of that. Wait a second, it isn't really going to shake, is it? From down here on the ground, it just looks cloudy, not windy. Well, I guess it's different up where the planes fly.
ちょっと天気が怪しいものね。
Auntie Eva was looking at TV in the lounge. The weather forecast was being broadcast, informing us that a typhoon was approaching the counter region.
また台風か。親族会議が毎年10月ってんじゃ。これは宿命だぜ。もうちょい時期を選んでくれりゃいいのによ。
どうかね。私もお盆の時期にやってくれればっていっつも思うわよ。ならルドルフ、それ今回の会議でお父様と兄さんに提案してみればいいじゃない。
冗談。姉貴が言えよ。俺が何を言っても兄貴は聞かねえよ。
いやよ。私は別に10月でも困らないもの。ルドルフが台風が嫌だからって言うから提案したらって言っただけよ。
俺は台風が来るのはいつものことだなって言っただけだろ。お盆の時期がいいって言い出したのは姉貴だぜ。
あら、去年ルドルフも言ったわよ。お盆の時期なら仕事のスケジュールとも合わせやすいのにって。
言ってねえだろ、そんなことよ。
言ったわよ。私、そういうのは絶対忘れないもん。
いや、言ってねえよ。言ってんのはいつも姉貴だよ。
知ってる？寸止めって高等技術なのよ。
ちっ、いい年した女がはしたないことばっかしてんじゃねえぜ。
That's a dangerous thing to say. Dad and Auntie Eva's argument looks no different from a couple of brats bickering.
普段は父親や母親として振る舞っていても、こうして親族会議で元の兄弟に出会うと、子供の頃の自分に戻っちゃうからだろうね。
と冷静に分析できるジョージ兄貴の方がずっと大人に見えるぜ。俺は将来あんなクソ親父みたいにはなりたくないね。なるなら 兄貴みたいな知的な大人になりたいもんだぜ。
僕かい？僕なんかまだまださ。社会経験が全然足りないし、社交性も度胸も足りない。バトラ君にはそれらのいくつかがすでにあるように思うよ。だからきっと成人したら僕なんかすぐに追い抜いちゃうさ。
George Aniki scratched his head and laughed, as though trying to hide his embarrassment. Of course, he was just being humble. Aniki entered the university and became an apprentice at Uncle Hideyoshi's company at the same time, studying both academics and how to become a business emperor in parallel. Then, right after graduating, he got into Uncle Hideyoshi's company as his father's aide, piling up a lot of real-life experience as he devoted himself zealously to his work. He even has grand dreams of one day standing on his own and becoming lord of his own domain. Aniki is a real paragon of a man, sparing no effort as he strives towards his goal. It's no exaggeration to say that I really respect him. And then there's me. I'm nothing at all like Aniki. I'm living my happy-go-lucky idle high school life to the max. I got no dreams for the future. I like to just sit back, stay cool and let the money flow in, but of course that could never happen. When Aniki was my age, he had already formed an impressive objective and had started devoting himself towards studying for that goal, so I guess I can't compare at all. My dad just says, "Sure, you can study at my company if you like cleaning toilets." Damn it, I'm not gonna be in the debt of that old bastard. I'll find my way myself. I guess that intensity is my one qualification towards adulthood. Should I go on one of those self-searching journeys that are all the rage these days? Well, it's not like I could mooch off my parents for that kind of money. Right then, Uncle Hideyoshi shouted out loudly. Uncle's a real nice person on the whole, but he does have a problem controlling the volume of his voice. When I looked over, I saw that he was greeting Auntie Rosa, who had come late.
Oh! Rosa さんやないか。マリアちゃん、久しぶりやの。
久しぶり。
That voice. That's the same as Azealia, isn't it?
マリア、お久しぶりです。でしょ？言ってごらん。お久しぶりです。
そうや。よく言えたな。ご褒美に飴玉あげような。おっと、あれ、どこにしまったんや。
ローザさん、お久しぶりです。マリアちゃんもお久しぶり。
ご無沙汰してます、キリエ姉さん、秀吉兄さん。あら、バトラ君？大きくなったわね。
いやー今日は会うたびに言われてて恥ずかしいっすよ。
おう、ローザ、遅かったな。飛行機がダイヤ通りだったらギリギリってとこだったぜ。
ごめんなさい、列車の接続がうまくいかなくて。なに？また天候調査中なの？
ぼやかないぼやかない。船で6時間も揺られるくらいなら飛行機でほんの30分の方がずっとマシよ。たとえ1時間余計に待たされたって全然早いんだから。
マリアちゃんも大きくなったで。今身長いくつあるんや？
身長いくつあるんや。
Maria parroted Uncle Hideyoshi's question, looking up at her mother. I guess she doesn't remember her own height. She's probably right in the middle of a growth spurt, so her height must change every month. In just a few more years, she'll probably start looking very feminine.
この間の身体測定でいくつって出たっけ。これでも少しずつは伸びてるんですよ。ねえ。
Okay, no, I take back what I said. This is not Ilya's voice. At least I don't think it is. But this is definitely the same voice as Hanyu.
去年よりもずっと成長したと思いますよ。今年で9歳でしたっけ？
9歳。
そうだね。9歳だね。マリアちゃんも元気そうでよかった。よいしょ。もう高い高いをするにはちょっと重くなってきたかな。
うわ、ジョージ兄貴、そりゃレディに失礼だろ。俺がやってやるぜ。だが
When I went to lift her up in Anik's place, Maria stiffened defensively, staring suspiciously at my face. Ah, that's right. The last time I met Maria, it was 6 years ago, and she was only 3 years old. Of course she doesn't remember my face.
マリアちゃん、覚えてる？バトラ君よ。一緒に遊んでもらったの忘れちゃった？
無理だろ。最後にバトラと会ったのは3つの時だぜ。3つの時の記憶なんか残ってねえ。
She must know everyone's face apart from mine because she visits them every year, but I haven't had contact with the Ushiromiya family for about 6 years now. What the hell? So it's no surprise that this 9-year-old girl doesn't have any memories of me. Even I can only just barely remember her being a 3-year-old crybaby.
マリア、バトラお兄ちゃんよ。ルドルフおじさんの息子さん。わかる？おじさんの息子さんが、おじさんが息子さん。
That I won't make that noise. Was probably the sound of her brain breaking, unable to understand the complicated explanation. I guess it was a bit too confusing for her.
マリアちゃん、彼はバトラ君。僕と同じいとこだよ。
庄司お兄ちゃんと同じバトラ？いとこ？
そう。よくできたね。
This part of Aniki is what makes me really look up to him. For someone who isn't married, he's just great at dealing with kids. I'm sure that he'll be an indulgent father in the future.
バトラお兄ちゃん？
Maria looked straight at me with a questioning expression, after asking whether it was alright to call me that.
おや、俺がバトラだ。よろしくな、マリア。
こらマリア、呼びつけちゃダメでしょ。バトラお兄ちゃんと呼びなさい。
いいっすよ、ローザおばさん。細かいことは気にしないっすから。まあマリア、俺とお前は名前を呼びつけ合う仲だもんな。
バトラバトラバトラ。
おや、マリアマリアマリア。
We horsed around for a while to make up for the 6-year gap in our friendship. She probably still thinks of me as nothing more than a big new friend, but things will probably work out as we get to know each other again. But I'm surprised. She's just the way I remembered her being 6 years ago. Seems that people just don't change that much after all. I'm a bit happy that she's still the pure innocent girl I remember. Her name is written with the Iron Cross. What the hell? Japan, you cannot do this. Stop. Stop it. Get some help. That one's not so difficult to read. Of course it says Maria. Of course it says Maria. Of course. The third character looks like a cross, which is pretty cool. Her feelings don't usually show up on her face, so it can be difficult to know just what she's thinking. But that's just how she looks on the outside. On the inside, she's just a sweet, normal girl. And then there's Maria's mother, Auntie Rosa. She's my dad's youngest sister. Rosa is written... Here's a name that's totally not Japanese. Sorry to say it, but her name's almost as ridiculous as Dad's. I've got to respect her for not ending up screwed up as he is. When I think about it, all the names in my family sound foreign. Just why is grandfather so obsessed with this? Because of him, even us grandchildren have to put up with this weird naming sense. It's even more annoying since grandfather's own name is perfectly normal. Anyway, there's one thing about Auntie Rosa that's a relief compared to the other family members. The old bastard and Auntie Eva have this annoying urge to tease and mock people all the time. But even though she shares their blood, Auntie Rosa isn't like that at all. She has the most common sense among all the siblings. Like Uncle Hideyoshi, she's a kind aunt who will always be on the kid's side. However, possible because she's more strict as a parent, she's not liberal with handing out spending money like Uncle Hideyoshi. So, there's one thing I'd like to mention about all this. It's that in the anime it's never addressed the fact that they all bear very Western sounding names. Like, not once is it put in perspective. And I have a feeling that I will understand why they have this obsession with Western names with the VN. Hopefully I will. Yes, it's never mentioned. Or at least I don't remember it. Actually, I thought it was the story of a European family, or an American maybe, or at least a mixed family, but apparently it's not. They are just weird. Yes, I'm starting to see why the anime adaptation is not that good. So anyway, let's keep going. Alright, now we have the entire group of family members who are going to board the plane. Although it had waited for us all together, an announcement rang out through the lobby.
お待たせしました。新島行き201便の搭乗をこれより開始いたします。ご搭乗のお客様はカウンター前の白線前に2列でお並びください。
I also don't remember them going to the island on a plane. I remember going by boat. That's weird. It just clicked, you know, but...
Rosa! 搭乗手続きまだだろ。急げ急げ。
いけない。マリア、いらっしゃい。
We had to go through a metal detector before going out on the runway. Our small plane wasn't as massive as an international flight, but it was still a plane. A staff member holding a metal detector checked us all. Once all of us cleared the check, we followed the staff member out onto the runway. Come to think of it, everyone here is in the Shiromiya family. It's like this is a reserved charter flight or something. Our group stopped in front of the entrance to the aeroplane. Then our guide turned around and spoke, looking down at the passenger list as she did.
それではこれよりご搭乗となります。名簿をお読み上げいたしますので、前方の座席、右側から順に右左、次の列の右左と詰めてお座りになってください。それではお読み上げいたします。後宮秀吉様。
わしからか？はい。そうだエヴァ、飴玉あるか？さっきから探してるんだが見つからないんや。
後宮エヴァ様。
ハンドバッグの中よ。機内に入ったら出すわ。
I've heard that candies are a good way to protect your ears from hurting due to variations in atmospheric pressure when landing or taking off. That's probably what they're talking about.
俺の席、窓際だといいな。
大丈夫だよ。窓際席しかないもん。
According to George Haneke, there are apparently only 2 lines of seats. Yep, it's a small plane, alright. It isn't really going to shake. Is it?
後宮ジョージ様。
はい。大丈夫だよ、バトラ君。あんまり揺れないから。
後宮バトラ様。
兄貴。あんまりって、どのくらいだよ。船から落ちても泳げるからいいが、飛行機が落ちたらそれでおしまいなんだぜ。もちろん客席にはパラシュートがあるんだろ。ねえの？
後宮ルドルフ様。
ほらバトラ、感動してねえでとっとと奥行け。
言って親父。おさってパラシュートがねえんだよ。
後宮桐江様。
ほら仲良くじゃれてないの。進む進む。
言ってよキリエ。押すなって。ボンクラが進まねえんだよ。
後宮マリア様。 進む後宮ローザ様。
ほらマリア、静かにしなさい。
こちらは機長の川端です。本日は新東京航空201便をご利用いただき誠にありがとうございます。新島空港までは約20分のフライトの予定です。上空の気流が乱れているとの報告が入っています。多少の揺れがあるかもしれませんので、離陸後もシートベルトは外さないようにお願いいたします。
兄貴、シートベルト外しちゃいけない揺れってなんだよ。じゃあ僕やら離陸後はシートベルト外せるぜ。それが外しちゃいけないってどんな揺れだよ。くそー、騙された。何が揺れないだ。パラシュートはどこだよ。やっぱり俺は船が良かった。
I will confess that I am very glad to play the voiced over version because Jesus Christ, I wouldn't have voiced all of this. But it could be fun to do one like this with people to voice over the game. Oh, maybe that's something we could play. We will take a short break to replenish snacks and drinks. a short 3-minute break. The game is really profound and have many foreshadowing. I would expect that
やっ
much.
ぱ船だよな。船。
So short minute. Oh Jesus Christ! Short 3-minute break. Go get some drinks. Go get a snack. Make yourself comfy. I will be back. Alright, is everyone back? We will wait for a little minute. Yeah. Yeah, I think voiceover Wednesday could be a good plan. Need to build myself a team for that, but could be fun. Of course, we should avoid the very heavy kind of works, because I have a feeling that voicing over in ad-lib would be quite chaos, so maybe something maybe lighter in tone and themes. Alright, let's get back to it.
落ちる落ちる
She's way too hype.
マリア、もういい加減になさい。でも意外ね。バトラ君、てっきり怖いものなしだと思ってたから。
こいつ昔から乗り物がなぜかダメでさ。二言目には落ちるだの沈むだの。情けない男だな、おめえは。
ありゃ、さすがに揺れすぎだろう。
So it did shake.
小型機乗るのは初めてだったからちょいと答えちまっただけだぜ。
あの大騒ぎでちょいとなの？バトラ君とは海外旅行を一緒に行くと賑やかそうね。おばさんとエジプトとか行かない？ 14 時間も飛行機に乗れるわよ。
いい提案ね。バトラ君、エヴァ姉さんに少し鍛えてもらいなさいよ。それにしてもおかしい。
こらこら、人間誰しも得て増えてはあるもんや。そない笑うたら悪いで。
父さんも笑うのは悪いよ。ほら、マリアちゃんももう笑っちゃダメ。
もう笑っちゃダメ
Ah, damn it. Is being scared of planes really such a big deal? Everyone obviously thinks I'm a big oaf now. Cheh. Ooh. Okay, that's why I remember a boat but on a plane. So that whole part was completely eluded. We split up and took separate taxis from the airport to the harbor. From there on, we would be taking a boat to the island. That's why I remembered boat. The islands are right next to each other, so it's not that far. It would be leisurely 30 minutes by boat. As we arrived at the pier where the boat to the island was anchored, we saw a silhouette waving its hand.
ジョージ兄さん、お久しぶりだぜ。
いやあ、ジェシカちゃん、1年ぶりだね。また伸びたんじゃないかい？
よしてくれよ。毎年言われんのは恥ずかしいぜ。
おいおい兄貴、嘘だろ？こいつが本当にジェシカなのかよ？
ってことはジョージ兄さん、このデカブツバトラ なのかよ。
We both stared each other down. She definitely didn't look this grown up in my memories, but I do remember her crazy way of talking.
いいよジェシカ。なんだよお前。嘘だろ。なに女みたいな格好してんだよ。なんだよこれ胸かよ。お前にも胸なんかできたのかよ。揉ませろ揉ませろーい。
ふざけやがれ。私は花も恥じらう18だぜ。髪だって伸びりゃ出るとこだって出るぜ。てめえに揉ませる胸なんざあるもんかい。バトラこそなんだよ。バカみてえに図体だけでかくなりやがって。知った腕力ついたのか。
ざげんじゃねえ。あれからどれだけ鍛錬積んだか思い知らせてやんぜ。
うぜえぜ。返り討ちだ。
This headstrong girl's name is Ushiromiya Jeshika, I would guess. She was born under the same lucky star as me, sharing the same kind of weird name. You see, Jeshika is pronounced Jeshka. She's Dad's older brother's daughter. Dad's older brother's daughter, so she's your cousin from your almost uncle. Okay. That older brother happens to be the eldest son of the Ushiromiya family, so I guess that also technically makes Jessica a direct heir to the Ushiromiya family. Okay. Since Jessica and I are the same age and had the type of boy-girl rivalry between us, we've always been used to fighting and joking around together whenever the relatives gathered. Jessica grew more quickly, so she always had me beat in terms of size and physical strength. So when we scuffle as a contest of strengths like this, it usually went Jessica's way. So even though I clearly understand that I'm bigger now, I still feel like I can't win against Jessica with my strengths.
なんだよ。何マジになってんだよ。いててて。
おいおいおい、全然力入れてねえぜ。ジェシカ、お前貧弱になっただろ。
うるせえぜ。こちとら女やってんだ。いつまでも腕力で男に勝てるわけねえだろ。
I love how she says that. Like in Japanese, she says, how should I explain that? She says "ona yattenda" like it's a job or an occupation. Like I'm doing the woman. That's I don't know if it's something that you say in Japanese or if it's just because she's weird. But I don't know. I felt like pointing this out.
まあそりゃそうだよな。俺が腕につけた分の肉をお前は胸につけたんだもんな。俺の腕とお前の胸ならちょうどいい力比べになりそうじゃねえのか。
だからお前に揉ませる胸はねえ。それよりお前こそどうなんだよ。身長以外にも他のところちゃんと大人になったのか。
バカやめろ。いやんこの野郎お嫁に行きたくなる。変なとこ触んないで。
Okay.
人様が聞いて誤解すること言うんじゃねえ。
Honestly, I was so surprised at how feminine Jessica had become that I had to seriously horse around to hide it. Well, yeah, considering what a bossy brat she was 6 years ago, anyone would be surprised. And I guess she's just as surprised. She definitely wasn't expecting she'd lose to me in a test of strength. After losing that easily, she must be shocked at how much I've grown in the past 6 years. 6 years. Once again, I'm being shown just what a huge gap of time that was.
やれやれ乾杯だぜ。こりゃもう私じゃかなわねえな。
そんなことないよ。バトラ君にもきっと弱点はあるよ。ね、マリアちゃん。
落ちる落ちる。
ちょ、バカよせマリア。それは内緒にしような。
落ちる？なんだそりゃ。
あいにくだが、この弱点はジェシカにはもうさらさないぜ。何しろ悪夢の空路はもう終わっちまったんだからな。あとはのんびりチャボチャボとお船の旅さ。あのオンボロ漁船がこれほど恋しくなるとは思わなかったぜ。
ああ？ジョージ兄さん、こいつ頭どうかしたのか？
すぐにわかるよ。すぐにね。
At the time, I didn't understand what Aniki meant by that big smile.
これははあ、バトラさんも大きくなりまして。
How was it this time? It's an old lady with an apron. Oh yeah, that takes me back. I remember now.
バトラ君、覚えてるかい？ほら、お手伝いの熊沢さんだよ。
熊沢のばあちゃんは忘れねえぜ。何しろこの6年ちっとも老けちゃいねえぜ。むしろ若返ったんじゃねえの？
最近はお肌がピチピチしてきちゃって、ほら胸もますますに大きくなっちゃいましたんですよ。揉んでみます？
ご冗談。俺が揉みたいのはピチピチした姉ちゃんの胸限定だぜ。
私とて若い日にはそれはピチピチしておりましたよ。ほらほら、ぜひどうぞお揉みくださいませ。
ひょー、勘弁してくれよ。若い姉ちゃんだ、若い姉ちゃん。熊沢のばあちゃんじゃねえよ。
The jokes I cracked about Jessica were being used against me. Come to think of it, she always was the type to tease people.
おいおいよせよ熊沢さん。監獄に半分足突っ込んだ人がはしゃいじゃいけねえぜ。
若い方とじゃれるのが何よりの若返りの薬ですよ。
熊沢さんが迎えに来るなんて珍しいじゃない。どういう風の吹き回しかしら。用事を頼まれるといつも腰痛になるあなたが。
エヴァ様は相変わらず手厳しゅうございます。急なお買い物がありましたもので、そのついでに皆様のお迎えをしようと思いまして。もっともお迎え待ちの老いぼれのお迎えでは景気も悪いでしょうが。
Aunt Eva spoke sarcastically, but Kumasawa-bachan's years of experience were nothing to sneeze at. She was more than capable of smoothly and coolly leaving that comment slide. Well, I'd rather not say it, but old Kumasawa-bachan may be past her prime as a servant. She might act as though she's in good health, but between her headaches and the lumbago, her body is wearing out. To tell the truth, the very fact that she's still working is impressive. How old is she this year again? She must be pushing 80 by now. It's incredible that she's still able to act so brightly.
ますますにお元気なようで。そうだ、これ前に話してたお茶です。ほら、買ってきました。後で飲んでみてください。
Auntie Rosa showed her the souvenir bag she'd taken out of her suitcase. I think that she had remembered the promise that she had apparently made last year and faithfully brought it. This sort of thoughtfulness was just like Auntie Rosa. She wasn't the kind of person who would forget or break promise. As for Kumasama-bachan, she seemed deeply touched by the fact that not only had Auntie Rosa remembered that year-old promise, she had brought that gift for a simple someone like her. This woman is Kumasawa Chiyosa. She's a senior servant who's been working for the Oshiromiya head house for many years. As you could expect from someone her age, she isn't that good at manual labor, but from kitchen work to cleaning and laundry, she is a kind of super servant who can handle just about anything. It seems like her only flaw is a tendency to slack off. I hear she tries to get away from heavy or troublesome work by playing up her chronic diseases. In Kumasawa Bachan's case, maybe we should call that a sort of lazy craftiness, though it probably doesn't impress those paying her salary. Ah well, even if she's pretty flaky when it comes to work, I could never dislike her. I guess that's probably because her cheerfulness and her constant smiles.
いやー、相変わらずお元気そうで何よりでんな。あれから背中の具合はどないでっか。
薬を飲んでもちっとも良くなりませんで、こればかりはお医者様ではどうにもなりません。不治の病っちゅうもんですわ。
それにしてもジェシカちゃんはますます美人になったな。夏日姉さんに似てよかったぜ。
そうですか？私的には全然似てないつもりなんですけど。つうか親には似たくないです。尊敬してないんで。
こら、そんなこと言っちゃダメよ。それにしても親に似たくないって言ってる人が多いわね、うちの。
あ、それ俺。バカ言え。お前こそ俺に似るんじゃねえ。お前の鼻が似ててムカつくんだよ。
何言ってんのよ。呆れるくらいそっくりよ。あなたもお父様もね。
おいおい、そりゃねえだろ。俺のどこが親父に似てるってんだ。
傲慢で偉そうなところとかそっくりよ。
Burn?
あんたと兄さんは特にお父様の血が強いわね。ねえローザ。
まったく。クラウス兄さんもルドルフ兄さんも信じられないくらいお父様にそっくり。
おいおい、参ったな。なんで俺だけ女どもに集中放火なんだ。秀吉兄さん、助けてくださいよ。
いやいや、ルドルフ君はいっつも女性にモテてるな。羨ましいで。
相変わらずモテモテでお羨ましいことです。それでは皆様、お船の方へお乗りくださいませ。さあさあ、マリアさん、一緒にお船に乗りましょうね。
一緒にお船に乗る。みんなも一緒に乗る。
おや、もう今度は怖くないぜ。
I will say it's cute when it totals a minute in a 24 episode series. But this will begin to be very annoying very quickly, I feel.
波で揺れるのは慣れてるしな。あのオンボロ漁船の場合、揺れて怖いってよりエンジンがぶっ壊れて漂流するんじゃねえかって方が怖いぜ。
そうだ、バトラ君、言うのを忘れてた。あの漁船はだいぶ老朽化してたんで、数年前に引退したんだよ。今は他の船が島まで運んでくれるんだ。
ああ、そっか。バトラは新しい船が初めてなんだな。快適だぜ。すっげえ速いんだ。何しろとんでもないスピードが出るんだからさ。
ほう。ってことは船旅の時間がさらに短縮されたわけか。そりゃ素晴らしい。何しろ飛行機よりマシとはいえ、沈没の危険にさらされる時間が少しでも短くなるってんだから、こりゃ極めて素晴らしいぜ。
バトラーはまた
そりゃ飛行機の時だけさ。もう大丈夫だぜ。
何しろ船長自慢の改造高速艇らしいぜ。だいぶいじってるらしく、プロペラは高性能のが4機もついてて、最高速度は40ノットを超えるとかなんとか自慢してたな。
40 knots. 40. I wonder if that's even legal.
いつも自慢されるんで覚えちまったぜ。
僕も毎年聞かされるんで覚えちゃったよ。船長は昔外国の漁船と速度比べをして負けて以来、スピード改造に取りつかれちゃったんだってさ。その時の相手は漁船なのに30ノット以上も出せたんだってね。
その雪辱の念が結実して、スカッと爽快な超高速改造艇の誕生となったわけさ。バトラもきっと気に入るぜ。
Super high speed modded boat. My first thought was that this would be much better than some beat-up boat that might sink at any time, but for some reason I'm getting this feeling of foreboding. Nah.
Oi, バトラー、島までは泳いで行った方がいいんじゃねえ
か。バトラ君、柵からあんまり身を乗り出しちゃダメだよ。落ちちゃうから。
落ちる落ちる。
チェックしろー。さっきからみんながニヤニヤ笑ってたのはこれだったのか。
The super high-speed boat said to have been modded to hell and back by its captain as a personal hobby was definitely nothing like the battered old fishing boat from 6 years ago.
揺れる揺れる揺れる。落ちる落ちる落ちる。
落ちる落ちる落ちる。
落ちたら海じゃねえかよ。溺れちまうぞ。パラシュートだじゃねえぜ。浮き輪はどこだ。ライフジャケットをくれ。
なんだよバトラー、おめえそれ何の真似だよ。
ジェシカちゃんもマリアちゃんもいじめちゃ悪いって。バドラ君も怖いなら甲板に出なきゃいいのに。船内ならもう少し怖くないと思うけどな。
そいつはサンキューだぜ兄貴。海難事故の犠牲者はいつも船内なんだ。生存者を抱いて事故時は甲板なんだぜ。だから俺はここにいる。でも揺れる落ちる。
揺れる落ちる。
マリア、よしなさいったら。でもバトラ君、本当に苦手なのね。船長さんに速度を落とすように言ってきてあげるわ。
ローザおばさんありがとう。海の上でも安全運転、徐行運転、指差し確認。
ダメよローザ。青年には試練も必要なんだから。
Sadism.
ねえバトラ君、これくらいへっちゃらで克服できちゃうわよね。
She's enjoying herself way too much about this.
じゃないとおばさんとエジプトに行けないわよ。
エヴァおばさんの意地悪。ダメ落ちる。ライフジャケットパラシュート。いや、ひっくり返して考えるんだ。敵の狙いは何だ。俺をこうして怖がらせることか。そいつが狙いなら甘いぜ。ビビってなんかやるもんか。
He's gone nuts.
手をラメおじる
He's lost his mind. So after I made a huge fool of myself for a while, Auntie Rosa had a talk with the boat captain and he slowed down to a more manageable speed for me.
これくらいならなんとか。さっきのは生きた心地がしなかったぜ。
The new speed which I was capable of tolerating was apparently extremely slow. But that just now was completely insane. The whole boat was shaking, sliding and leaping on the ocean surface. It felt like I was riding on the back of a flying fish. Jessica was still what the hell is that word? Following at me as I leaned against the railing, tired and disheartened.
さっきは力比べで負けたけどよ、もっと重要な部分で負けてなかったことが分かって私は嬉しいぜ。いやしかし
くっそー、好きなだけ笑えよ。いつか弱点を見つけ返しててめえの胸揉みつぶしてやるぜ。
What's your obsession with your cousin's boobs, man?
見つけられたら考えてやるぜ。
おお、バトラヘロヘロ。
ああ、バトラヘロヘロだ。海も空もごめんだぜ。俺は陸の上で死にたいさ。
Maria was patting my back, so I patted her head in return. Her expression was blank, as usual, but I realized that she wanted to console me.
バトラ君、船長が罪滅ぼしにってドリンクをサービスしてくれたよ。飲んで一服しないかい？落ち着くよ。
George Aniki and Kumasawa-bachan brought us each an ice cold drink with drops of moisture on the can. Judging from Kumasawa-san's big grin, our parents inside the boat were probably all rolling around laughing at my moment of pure terror. Damn it, I'm so embarrassed that I can bear to face any of them. If I didn't change the subject somehow, I had the feeling I'd be the butt of everyone's jokes for the whole trip. So I tried to think of something harmless to talk about.
ああ、ジェシカ。クラウスおじさんと夏日おばさんは元気なのかよ。
親父とおふくろ？残念ながら元気だぜ。二言目には勉強しろ勉強しろってうるせえけどよ。秀吉おじさんとかルドルフおじさんとかそういうこと言わなそうだから羨ましいぜ。
とんでもない。僕も受験を控えてた頃はいっつも受験受験って言われてたよ。うるさくも思ったけど今は感謝してるよ。
はあ、やっぱりジョージ兄貴は人間ができてるな。ちなみにうちは絶賛放任中だからな。なんにも言われないぜ。まあ言われたって聞かねえけどな。
バトラさんはまだご実家には戻られておられないのですか？
うん、まあちょくちょく戻るようには。まだ服とかだいぶ前の家に残してるんで。
おお、バトラ、お家が2つある？
まあな。
どうしてお家が2つ？
Only Maria, who couldn't really grasp the situation, voiced her naive question. However, the others just shot nervous glances at me, choosing not to respond even though they knew the answer.
マリア、ほら、船着き場が見えてきたぜ。ほら、あれ、見えるか？
Apparently Jessica was trying to be nice by changing the subject. Ah well, I'd rather not talk about it if I can help it, but it's uncomfortable to have it treated like some kind of weird taboo. I don't mind that much myself anymore. I am an Ushiromiya, but the truth is that for the past 6 years I've been living with my grandparents on my late mother's side, and I've even been using her family name. When those grandparents passed away one after the other, I basically had no choice except to go back and live with the old bastard. Don't get me wrong, I didn't just run away from home or anything like that. The only one at fault here is my dad. I don't really blame Kirie-san. Being able to hold that old bastard's reins and ride him out is no mean feat. But as for the betrayal that the old bastard inflicted on my mom, well, unfortunately, I still haven't fully gotten over that.
もうすぐ着くね。
Georgianiki cleared his throat, trying to change the topic.
失礼しました。年寄りが余計なことを言ってしまったようで、お気に障りましたら。
気にもしてないし、触ってもないぜ。気にすんなよ、熊沢のばあちゃん。
Kumasawa-san seemed to regret speaking out of turn, but I was more concerned about being worried over something like that, so I stood up and passed it off lightly. After that, I had a sip of my drink and headed over to Maria and Jessica, who were gazing at the silhouette of the island.
Dore dore? おお、見えてきたな。6年ぶりでも記憶と寸分変わらない島影だぜ。
The small island silhouette in front of us had gotten pretty close. This island's name is Rokkenjima. It's a small island about 10 kilometers around, located in the Izu archipelago. Since they call this archipelago the Izu 7, lots of people think there are 7 islands, but that's not true. There are actually more than... Oh, Jesus Christ. There are actually more than 7. Rokkenjima is one of the minor islands that don't get counted. Even considering that, there are probably very few people who know about this island. After all, only the people of the Ushiromiya family come to this island. In other words, it has no ties whatsoever to outsiders or tourists. So you'll never find this island's name in a travel brochure. This is because all of Rokkenjima is an estate possessed by the Ushiromiya head house. Only the Ushiromiya family lives here, and only people connected to the Ushiromiya family come and go there. There's nothing there except a harbor and a mansion. The vast majority of the island is still just uncultivated forest. Such a waste when it could be made into a nice golf course. However, when you realize that the entire coastline is a private beach, it starts to sound pretty magnificent. You might have realized it by now, but to put it simply, well, the Ushiromiya family is just rolling in dough. The fortune possessed by the head house is apparently vast, and Dad and the others who make up the branch families have built up plenty of wealth for themselves, finding success in their respective businesses. I've been living a commoner's life at my grandparents' home these 6 years, so I completely forgotten that the old bastard's house really is elegant, and everything about it is tuned to match the snobbish tastes of the unknowingly rich. Come to think of it, I guess that means Georgianiki, Jessica, Maria, and I are all wealthy, high-class gentlemen and ladies. Needless to say, none of us feel that way at all. I don't see myself as being rich, and Georgianiki, who takes self-discipline very seriously, doesn't let himself get too comfortable. Jessica is always complaining that she'd rather move to the city than be rich, and Maria is still a kid who isn't even interested in money at all. I guess that attitude itself is snobbish. From the perspective of people in poverty who can't pay the bills, we're very lucky to even have the luxury of thinking this way. This isn't the place to explain any further, so I won't. Anyway, it's the same as not being able to choose the parents you're born from. I didn't ask to be born into a rich family, and I don't think it's something I should be hated for. It can be pretty trying when people are prejudiced against you just because you're rich and refuse to judge you by your merits. As I pondered these sentimental thoughts, Maria leaned over the railing and started shouting.
Nay.
どうしたんだよ、マリア。何か落としちゃったのか？
Maria kept yelling "gone, gone." From her words alone, you would think she had perhaps dropped something, but she was actually pointing out over the ocean as she shouted.
どうしたの？何がないんだい？僕も探してあげるよ。何？
If she dropped something, she would probably have looked down at the floor, but Maria was pointing out over the ocean. One would assume that she had seen something out over the ocean, but she kept saying that something was gone. Strange. However, since my last memories of this place came from 6 years ago, I was able to spot it before Aniki, who comes here every year.
確かさ、この辺の小さい岩の上に鳥居みたいなのがなかったっけ？そうだ、確かにあったぜ。島に近づいてくると最初に迎えてくれる目印みたいなもんだったからよく覚えてるぜ。
へえ、バトラすごいじゃねえか。6年ぶりなのによく覚えてるもんだぜ。
あったね。僕も思い出したよ。鎮守の社と鳥居みたいなものが岩の上にポツンと立ててあったよ。そういえばないね。去年は確かにあったと思う。
大方、波か何かでさらわれちまったんだろう。小さい岩だったしな。だいぶ風化で脆くなってたんだろうさ。
私もそうだと思ってるんだけどよ。亡くなっちゃったのはこの夏のことなんだよ。なんでもよ。
ある晩に大きな稲妻が落ちてお社を砕いてしまったんだとか。鎮守様に落雷があるなど、これは不吉の兆しに違いないと漁民たちはささやいておりますね。
Well, makes sense.
くわばらくわばら。
Kumasawa-san smiled impishly, as if teasing us, rubbing her hands together. However, Maria was apparently taking it seriously, and she stared fixedly over the ocean, to where the crag enshrining the local guardian deity was supposed to be.
不吉の兆し。
よせよ熊沢さん。マリアはそういう冗談の通じない年頃なんだからさ。
大丈夫だよ、マリアちゃん。偶然だよ。何も怖いことなんか起きないよ。
George Aniki put a hand on Maria's shoulder to calm her down, but Maria's sharp-eyed expression didn't budge.
不吉。不吉。
Maria muttered that word over and over. Apparently, repeating a single word over and over is a habit that Maria's had for a long time. However, since the word she was saying was quite literally ominous, it was a bit creepy.
おいおい、マリア。 そんなに何度も繰り返してたら本当に不吉がやってきちまうぜ。
I tapped Maria's old shoulder, and then Maria whipped her head around, stared into my face, and spoke unblinkingly.
不吉来る。
Excuse me?
来るってどこから？
I answered lightheartedly, trying to break the tension in the air. And in reply, Maria held up a finger, raised her arm high, and pointed it to the heavens. When I looked up, I saw that the sky was still just as cloudy, but it had grown a great deal more leaden than it had been that morning. Sky drop cycle. That's right, they were saying that a typhoon was approaching. We had planned to spend one night on the island, but if this storm doesn't pass quickly, I won't be able to make it to school on Monday. Well, I guess it makes for a pretty good excuse to be absent. She apparently sensed something ominous in this cloudy sky. She's been muttering for a while now. Girls at Maria's age tend to be very impressionable. She's just about the age when many girls start to get excited about sixth senses and whether they have any psychic potential and stuff. In a way, being sensitive about things like this isn't really out of the ordinary for a kid like her.
大丈夫だよ、マリアちゃん。天気は今夜くらいには崩れるかもしれないけど、明日には良くなって綺麗な青空になってるよ。
綺麗な青空。
そう、明日になれば綺麗な青空になるよ。止まない雨はないし、晴れない雲だってない。
止まない雨、晴れない雲。
確かに台風が近づいてるけどよ、すぐに過ぎちまうって。大丈夫さ、マリア。
Maria started yelling. It looked as though she was having a tantrum because no one could understand what she was trying to say. What in the world is Maria trying so desperately to warn us about? Unable to understand her, we could do nothing but feel a vague sense of foreboding. I've heard that everyone can feel the supernatural, but that it weakens as you age. That might mean that Maria, the youngest one of us all, still possessed some kind of sense that the rest of us had lost. So we're really just admitting that supernatural is a thing. Like, I wonder if that sense is sending her a warning. At that moment, Kumasawa-san quietly opened her mouth.
六軒島はその昔。
熊沢さん、その話はなしにしようぜ。
Jessica? Shut the fuck up. Let the old woman speak. Just as Kumasawa-san was about to tell some kind of story, Jessica sharply interrupted her. For Jessica, this was an extremely firm reaction. I wanted to push her further, just out of simple curiosity, but judging by how Jessica was acting, it wasn't difficult to imagine that it would simply inflame Maria's unease further. If I did try to press her for the story, the odds were pretty good that it wouldn't be anything bright and cheery.
それは申し訳ございませんね。ここの風は年寄りには応えますんで、ちょっと失礼させていただきます。
Gossipers have no reason to hang around after they've been told to stop chatting. When Kumasawa-san finally realized that she'd overstepped her bounds, she went back inside the boat. After she left, Uncle Hideyoshi came along to replace her. Since he'd shown up partway through, he completely failed to notice the complicated atmosphere that hung about the scene. So he refreshingly and unwittingly swept that atmosphere aside. So in the end, it was his unwittingness that brightened the mood.
もう到着だそうやないか。おう、もうちょいやの。今日はのんびりスピードだから時間がかかってもうたわ。誰のせいやねん。
うわ、秀吉おじさんも勘弁してくださいよ。
もっと言ってやってください。たく、バトラのせいで時間かかりすぎだぜ。
Maria had probably come to the conclusion that no one was going to listen to her. She hung her head, wearing a fretful face. As she did, George Anarchy crouched down to meet her eyes and spoke to her kindly.
マリアちゃん、何も怖くないよ。だって僕たちが一緒だもの。一緒だと何も怖くないんだよ。
Really now? Really?
言ってごらん。
一緒だと何も怖くない。
うん。一緒だと何も怖くない。
そうさ、ジョージの兄貴の言う通りだぜ。俺たちが一緒にいるといつだって何だって絶対に怖くねえんだな、ジェシカ。
ああ、間違いないぜ。ジョージ兄さんの言うことはいつも本当だよ、マリア。
ジョージお兄ちゃんはいつも本
当。うん、僕は嘘をつかないよ。だから信じて。みんなと一緒にいれば何も怖くないんだよ。
ジョージお兄ちゃんは嘘をつかない。信じる。みんなと一緒にいれば怖くない。怖くない。
Maria jumped into George Anarchy's arms and hugged him tightly. After Anarchy patted her head, she jumped away again. Her facial expression had returned to so completely to normal that she looked like a totally different person from moments before. She was once again the ordinary Maria.
みんなと一緒だからもう怖くない。
ああ、そうだぜ。
The way she says that, I don't like it.
もう平気みたいだな。マリアは強いな。
Why is the I'm put in emphasis? Why?
なんや、どうしたんや。マリアちゃん、船酔いだったんか。ん？
まあそんなとこです。もうじき着きますね。
Harbor was already drawing near. Oh. The boat gave a big shudder. Seems we've docked at the harbor. The boat driver came out and jumped to the pier with the mooring rope. A large man in a tuxedo was waiting there for us with a warm, smiling face. I didn't know him, but judging by his clothes, I guessed that he was a servant of the Oshiromiya head house.
お嬢様、お帰りなさいませ。
In the menu, okay.
だいぶ遅かったので心配しておりました。
心配ありがとう。バトラのやつが怖がっちゃってよ。それで徐行運転だったってわけ。マジでうぜえぜ。
うるせえ。いつか逆の立場になったら覚えてろ。
At this rate, the world will spread around the entire family and I'll become the big conversation piece during dinner. Even without this, everyone be talking about me because of that 6-year gap. But now I've provided them with an even juicier topic. Damn it, why does the Oshiromiya main family have to live on this isolated island? In the meantime, the boat had finished its mooring. A small plank was lowered so that we could get down. One by one, my parents came out of the boat.
皆様、長旅お疲れ様でした。奥様、お手をどうぞ。
ありがとう。お久しぶりね。ゴーダさんもお元気？
ありがとうございます。おかげさまで毎日元気にお勤めをさせていただいております。
バトラ君はゴーダさんとは初対面じゃない？確か6年前はお勤めじゃなかったですよね。
はい。ですので、バトラ様とは初めてご挨拶させていただきます。はじめまして、バトラ様。
ああ、俺もタッパには多少の自信があったんだが、でっけえ人だな。紛れもなく初対面だぜ。こんな大男あったら絶対忘れないさ。どうも、はじめまして。バトラス。
お待ち申し上げておりました。一昨年から後ろ宮本家にお仕えさせていただいております使用人のゴーダと申します。どうぞよろしくお願いいたします。
Seems like names are important in this story, so I'm kinda bummed out to not know how to read Japanese. Maybe I will do some research. At least for those ones.
何かご用命がございましたらいつでもお申し付けください。
ゴーダさん、お久しぶりです。
ジョージ様、ご無沙汰をいたしております。お手をどうぞ。
あんた相変わらず大した接客のプロや。もし食に困ったらいつでもわしに声をかけるんやで。いつでも雇ったろ。
これは身に余る光栄です。どうぞお手を、秀吉。
Goda then lent a hand to everyone as they disembarked, greeting them as they passed. So if I sometimes cut off the dialogue, it's reflexes. When my brain thinks dialogue is over, it clicks without even listening to it. So I'm sorry, I will apologize in advance. His speech and mannerisms had the refined polish of a professional. He was very graceful, in contrast with his initially rough-looking appearance. His large size made him seem a bit scary at first, but he was much more polite than my first impression of him had led me to believe. He claimed to have served on this island for 2 years, but he had doubtless worked at a similar job somewhere before. After everybody disembarked, the mooring rope was untied and the boat started to steer away from the harbor. It was probably returning to its home port of Niijima. The captain waved his hand in farewell. Maria conscientiously waved back.
なんだかさっきから違和感があると思ったら、海猫の声を聞いてないぜ。
Roll credits.
海猫？鳥のか？
I remember that whenever we came to this island, the seagulls always welcome us with their lovely nya nya cries. Because of that, whenever I hear the cries of the seagulls in any other place, I get the feeling that I've come to a family conference. Uh-huh. Subtlety is dead. Except for the small part of the island where those of the Oshiromiya had house live, Rokkenjima had been left uncultivated, apparently transforming into a paradise for wild birds. Seemingly, some cliff face or other had become home to a huge seagull colony, and so this island was always full of them. Since the seagulls didn't come to greet us, I felt a bit lonely.
どうしたのバトラ君。
ああ、ローザおばさん。いや、別に。海猫の声が聞こえないんで、なんか寂しいなーって。
あら、そういえばそうね。いっつも賑やかなのに、今日はさっぱりいないわね。
どうして海猫いない？
海猫たちも今日はよそで集まりがあるからかな。マリアも海猫見たかったの？
見たかった。
なんだってこうもまるっきりいねえんだ。ジェシカがみんな焼き鳥にして食っちまったんかな。
物騒なこと言うんじゃねえ。マリアが勘違いするだろ。
ジェシカお姉ちゃんが焼き鳥にした
してないしてない。そんなの私がするわけねえだろ。
そうだそうだ、ジェシカが焼き鳥にしたんだ。皮につくねにレバーにネギマン、
皮にくつねりレバーにネギマン。
As I made fun of Jessica, Maria tagged along, looking like she was having fun. Oh, she really knows how to join in with things. Alright then, starting today, I'll make you my #1 follower. As I smiled at her, she beamed back overjoyed. I guess happy for this little bit of solidarity.
違うよ、マリアちゃん。野鳥って天気や気圧の変化に敏感なんだそうだよ。今夜あたり天気が崩れそうだしね。末早めに引き上げてるのかもしれないね。
焼き鳥じゃない？ジェシカお姉ちゃんが焼き鳥にしたんじゃない？
違う。私はそんなことしないって。ほら、バトラも嘘だったって認めろよ。
バトラ君、マリアちゃんは素直な子だから、そういう冗談でも真に受けちゃうんだよ。冗談も少し選んだ方がいいよ。
George Aniki gently scolded me. Even though I outstripped Aniki in height, he still commanded respect as my elder. No choice but to obediently apologize.
おう、ありあり。マリア、今のは冗談だ。海猫たちは今日は素でおとなしくしてるってさ。
バトラは嘘？ジョージお兄ちゃんは本当？
Am I imagining things, or is the formatting of this sentence different from what the narration was up until now? My brain fucked. Like it's in italic, tilted. Or am I imagining it? Yes, it is. Yeah. Thank you. I thought I was going insane. I was having fun, but you are actually just tricking me. Her pure eyes seemed to accuse me. Okay, okay. It's thoughts within thoughts. Okay. Maybe I went a little overboard with her after all.
ああ、そうだそうだ。ジョージ兄貴が言ったのが本当だ。天気が悪いんで今日は引き上げたんだろうよ。いなくなったわけじゃないんだぜ。ね、おばさん。
そうよ。明日以降天気が良くなったらきっと戻ってきてミャーミャーと声を聞かせてくれるわ。
うん。天気良くなって戻ってくるの待つ。明日まで待つ。天気良くなるまで待つ。
Maria's mood lightened, and she started looking forward to tomorrow when the seagulls would come back and fill the skies. Still, George Aniki really is amazing at taking care of kids. I think I remember Aniki taking good care of me as well when I was a brat 6 years ago. Aniki might have quite some talent for this kind of thing.
ジョージ君は小さい子の面倒を見るのがうまいわね。保育士さんでも務められるんじゃない？
なあ、ジョージ兄さんの転職っぽいぜ。私的には社長室でビジネスってよりそっちの方が兄さんのイメージだぜ。
まさか保育士さんは立派なお仕事だよ。単なる子供好き程度に務まる仕事じゃないね。
本当にジョージ君は謙虚ね。でもバトラ君も子供のあやし方が上手よ。さっきはほんの少しの間だけどマリアとっても楽しそうだった。これからも今みたいに遊んであげてね。冗談は選んでだけどね。
Auntie Rhoda winked at me, giggling a little. Real mother, I thought to myself, who's happy that Maria looks like she's having fun.
おいローザ、それにガキどもも何やってんだ。行くぞ。
はいはい、今行きます。
The old bastard was beckoning us to hurry up. We'd better get moving. It's not like it would be too late to have the same discussion after we got our luggage in our rooms.
それでは皆様、お泊まりのゲストハウスの方へご案内させていただきます。どうぞこちらへ。
Kuroda-san called to everyone and started leading us. Kumasawa-san brought up the rear. Serpentine, twisting paths led through a deep forest. It ran a bit uphill. I'd guess the path was made twisting so that the slope wouldn't be felt too much. But personally, I'd have been happier if they'd been man enough to make some stairs in a straight line. No doubt that made the path twisting on purpose to put on areas of distance and importance. Before long, we saw garden-style stone steps. And I remember how it goes from here. Go up these and... At the top of the stone steps, a beautiful guest house came into view. Its facade was lovely, of course, but even more than that, We couldn't help but have our hearts stolen away by the splendor of that beautiful rose garden that spread before it.
はあ、今年も相変わらず大したもんや。目の保養とはこのことやで。
As they reached to the top of the stone steps, the people welcomed in by the rose garden voiced their appreciation one after another.
今年は少し花に元気がないんじゃない？やっぱり夏があまり暑くなかったせいかしら。
そのせいもあるかと思います。去年の先に比べると今年は少々見劣るのが残念です。
Even so, it was a delightful rose garden. I remember that huge amount of roses used to greet me every year, even over 6 years ago. This rose garden was the first thing that greeted the people who came to Rokkanjima. Even our parents, who came every year, couldn't help but let their wonder slip out. And moreover, it even looked like the powered-up version of the garden from 6 years ago that was in my memories.
いつ見てもすごいわね。自宅にこれだけのバラ園があったらさぞや素敵でしょうに。
よせよ、誰が手入れすんだよ。バラは虫とか病気とか大変なんだぜ。
そうね。キリエ姉さんは毎日バラの手入れをしてて虫がつかないようにしてるそうよ。
え？そうなのかよ。そんな話は知らないぜ。
そうなんです。この人の場合はバラの方から虫を求めていっちゃうから、どっちかというとたちの悪い食虫植物ってところね。
ああ、そういう話かよ。たく、ローザ、今日はそういう話は勘弁してくれよ。もうそういうのはすっかり足を洗ったんだぜ。
どうかしら。ルドルフ兄さんは遺伝子的レベルでだらしないですし。
大丈夫よローザさん。あんまりおいたするバラなら根元からちょって切っちゃうから。
物騒なお話ですね。
モテる男はいつもリスクと隣り合わせなんや。わしも来世じゃもうちょい美形に生まれたいもんやで。
だから秀吉兄さん、モテてなんかないって。キリエも物騒な話なんかやめろい。俺のバラがしおれちまったじゃねえ
か。ほら、マリアちゃん、来てごらん。こっちのバラは特に立派だよ。
バラが立派。
かぐわしい匂いだぜ。俺のエレガントさにぴったりだな。
おいよせよ。マリアが真似してトゲで怪我するだろ。
She yelled at me as I leaned in with an exaggerated gesture to smell the rose's scent. I thought she was overreacting, but when I turned around I saw Maria imitating my every movement, and thereby putting a broad smile on George Anik's face.
ほら、マリアちゃん、気をつけて。バラのトゲは痛いよ。
ジョージお兄ちゃん、このバラだけ変。
変？どうしたんだよ。
Maria pointed to a single rose. I immediately understood why she found it odd. In the midst of all the magnificent roses, just one single rose was withering. There wasn't any particular reason. Some roses flourish, others wither. That's all there was to it, but Maria seemed very concerned about there being only one unhealthy rose in a group of healthy ones. She must be feeling somehow like it's been left out.
このバラだけ元気がなくて、かわ
他はみんな元気なのに、これだけかわい
そう。まあ、咲いたり枯れたりはそれぞれだからな。一足先にしおれる代わりに、そのバラは他のどのバラよりも早く開花できたんだと思うぜ。
そうだよな。いっぱい咲いて その役目を終えてお休みに入ったってだけのことだと思うぜ。そんなに気に病むことはねえさ。
It seemed that Maria's pure, sensitive nature was making her feel some emotional pain for the rose that withered alone. Even though she understood the logic of it, it still felt lonely to her.
じゃあマリアちゃん、帰るまでの間このバラをお世話してあげるといいよ。
George Aniki straightened up and felt around in his pockets. He then took out the wrapping from the candy he had eaten on the plane. He twisted it into a thin string and gently tied it to the rose as a sort of marker.
へえ、なんだか可愛くなったね。
これがこのバラの目印だよ。後でお水とかをあげに来てごらん。バラさんもきっと喜ぶと思うよ。
お水とかをあげに来る。
せっかくだからこのバラさんに何か名前をつけてあげるといいよ。そうするとバラさんも喜ぶと思うし、マリアちゃんと心もきっと通い合うと思うよ。
名前。
Though she still wore her usual sullen face, Maria crossed her arms and began to consider this intently. At the very least, she appeared to have been completely pulled out of her slump. Nice going, Aniki.
ジョージ兄さんって昔っから包容力があるよな。尊敬するぜ。
だな、人徳ってやつだろ。後で爪の赤をもらってきてやるから一緒に飲もうぜ。
この庭園はお前が子供の頃にもこんなに立派だったんか？
私が出てってからよ、こんなに立派になったのは。前の庭園の方が素朴で愛着があったんだけどね。兄さんがちょっと悪趣味にいじりすぎたのよ。前の方がずっと良かったんだから。
エヴァ、ポジティブシンキングやで。昔は置いといて今のこの美しさをめでなあかん。その方が心が安らかになるで。
別にそんな意味じゃ。ただ私は昔の方が素敵だった庭園をあなたにも見てほしかったなってだけよ。
それでは皆様よろしいでしょうか。そろそろお部屋の方にご案内いたします。
Goda-san called to everyone to ask if we were ready, but our hearts had been completely stolen away by the Rose Garden after a year of absence, and we didn't lend him an ear. Since we were in the travel group, it wasn't like we had a strict schedule to follow. Besides, for our parents, this was their fond old birth home they had returned to, so they felt no obligation to be pressured by anyone. Understanding the situation, Goda-san continued to wait with a wide smile for our parents to lose interest in the roses and tell him to guide us to the rooms.
Well? おーい、カノン君やないか。久しぶりやな。元気か？
Uncle Hideyoshi suddenly shouted. In the direction he was waving, there was a slender boy. Meeting him right after a huge man like Goda probably emphasized his small stature. The boy was in the middle of transporting piled up gardening tools and the like in the wheelbarrow. He realized he was being called to stop. He set down the wheelbarrow, took his hat off and bowed his head.
こんにちは。
I figured he was probably younger than me. I realized by the general atmosphere surrounding him that he was 7 too. Though he did greet Uncle Hideyoshi back, he himself seemed like he might be unsociable. It was a greeting that lacked feeling. When Goda noticed that our interest had shifted towards him, he went to the boy's side and introduced him to us.
バトラ様、ご紹介いたします。後宮本家にお仕えしております使用人の一人です。カノンさん、お客様にご挨拶を。
はじめまして。使用人のカノンです。
Yep, my first impression wasn't wrong. He gave the feeling that he was unsociable, or maybe a bit of a poor speaker. In contrast with Goda-san, who was extraordinarily polished as a servant, it was impossible to not feel the immaturity you'd expect of someone his age. When Goda-san urged him in a whisper to give a bit more of an introduction, the boy named Cannon only cast his eyes downwards.
カノンさん、もう少し何か挨拶することはできませんか？
いえ、僕たちは家具ですから。
It seemed that he wasn't refusing to greet us out of spite, but rather he gave the impression that he didn't know what else to add to his greeting and so could do nothing other than stay silent.
カノン君は寡黙でさ、余計なおしゃべりはしない性分なんだよ。愛想は少し悪いけど、根はいい人なんだぜ。誤解しないで。ここに勤めて3年になるんだっけ。確かゴーダさんより1年長いんだよな、カノン君。
Even though it's not like he made a super bad impression, Jessica hurriedly backed him up. I see, apparently him being unsociable works against him all the time.
そっか、よろしくな。俺はバトラ。18だけど、君はいくつだい？
A silence, as if evaluating whether it was a question that must be answered or not. But here again, Jessica plowed ahead.
確か私たちの2つ下だから16だったよな。はい、そうです。
It looked like if given a choice, he would have preferred not to tell us his age. Him not wanting to tell his age was probably because he thought he would be looked down upon for it. I remember that when I was around his age, I hated being asked how old I was by adults. I see, 60 and her. That's gonna be a delicate time. In that case, I asked something I shouldn't have.
近いとして嬉しいぜ。気さくにバトラって呼んでくれよな。俺も君のことはカノンって呼ぶぜ。
ありがとうございます。お気持ちだけで結構です、バトラ様。
Jessica looked flustered for some reason. She seemed to think that my impression of Cannon was worsening because of his rejection. Well, I doubt a girl like Jessica understands his fretful male heart. As his elder, even by just 2 years, who would lead him into adolescence, I took it upon myself to understand that.
カノンさん、もう少し愛想よくはできませんか？笑顔も使用人の義務ですよ。
申し訳ありません。努力します。
ゴーダさん、カノン君もいろいろ頑張ってるんですよ。ねえ。
It seemed as though he was often warned about his discourtesy, and apparently he hadn't improved a bit. Goda-san kept his business smile, but let a small sigh of resignation escape.
それではまだ仕事がありますので、失礼します。
It looked like Cannon himself was uncomfortable with remaining silent here any longer. After another perfunctory bow, perfunctory, what the hell is that word? He turned on his heels and started pushing the wheelbarrow again. Just then, suddenly the wheelbarrow wobbled and fell, scattering the load. I guess the wheelbarrow was its single wheel caught on a pebble and lost its balance.
何をしてるんですか？早く片付けて。
Goda-san urged him along in a low voice, as if to remind him that it is a servant's shame to present a clumsy appearance in front of guests. Showing that he understood quite well without being told, Kanon-kun wildly loaded the wheelbarrow with the fallen objects. He seemed to be fine with the light-looking gardening tools, shovels and such, but he looked like he was having trouble getting his arms around and lifting up some sacks of
大
fertilizer.
丈夫かよ、そそっかしいな。ほら。
お嬢様、お召し物が汚れます。ここはお任せください。
With an elegant gesture, Goda-san took the shovel that Jessica had picked up. At his back was the figure of Kanon-kun having trouble with the sacks of fertilizer.
お召し物が汚れる？
安心しろよ。俺が着てるのはそんなお上品なものじゃねえぜ。それによ、俺はレストランで落ちたフォークをウェイトレスに拾わせるってやつが大嫌いなんだ。
I lifted up all the bags that had fallen. Of course they weren't light, but for me it was a piece of cake. Kanon-kun turned his surprised eyes towards me. It was the face of one who would never have expected to receive help from a guest.
バトラー様、結構です。僕が全てやりますので。
気にすんな。こう見えても鍛え方が違うぜ。
Kanon-kun looked like he hadn't yet gone through his growth spurt and was stuck with a sorta weak body. I guess that... Jesus Christ. I guess we will probably soon stop. I was starting to lose my speech. I guess this kind of weight is a bit much for him.
結構重いね。カノン君が苦労するのも無理はないよ。カノン君、気にしないで。
これぞ俺の見せ場さ。これでさっきの船の分はチャラだよな。
この程度のことじゃさっきの大騒ぎが帳消しになるもんかよ。カノン君にも後で教えてやるよ。バトラったら面白いんだぜ。
落ちる落ちる。
Banter made the job seem quick, and before I knew it, all the stuff had been piled back into the wheelbarrow.
お見苦しいところをお見せして申し訳ございませんでした。
さあもう結構ですよ。言ってください。
Letting such a disgraceful thing... Jesus Christ. Letting such a disgraceful thing be seen by the guests who were supposed to be made welcome must have been hideously embarrassing as servants. Pressed by Goda to hurry up and exit, Kanon-kun left.
ゴーダさんもいじめすぎよ。意地悪言わないで、あなたも手伝えばよかったんじゃない？
これは至りませんで、誠に申し訳ございませんでした。
Without even a twitch in his smile, Goda-san apologized elegantly.
カノン君もええところはぎょうさんあるんやで。ただ若いんかの。いろいろもったいないわ。
気難しい年頃さ。そっとしといてやれよ。使用人は寡黙なくらいがちょうどいいさ。あ、熊沢さん。
ルドルフ様は手厳しゅうございますこと。私ほど使用人で寡黙なものはおりませんとも。
Everyone smiled wryly at that shameless lie. Even she herself didn't believe that, not in her wildest dreams. She said that to Lieutenant Solomon. Yeah, that's the kind of character Kumasawa Bachan used to be. The mood that had stiffened a little was cleared up with a twinkling, thanks to Kumasawa-san's cheerful smile.
そろそろ荷物を置きたいわね。ゴダさん、部屋割りはどうなってるのかしら。
昨年と同じになっております。さあ、ご案内いたします。どうぞこちらへ。
We headed towards the trim and elegant guest house. This was going to be our temporary quarters for a night. Cannon watched over hedge as the guests all entered the guest house. Then he let his eyes fall on those heavy sacks of fertilizer piled up in the wheelbarrow. In his mind, he kept going over his previous mistake. Butler, big and strong, had picked up the sacks in front of him, the sacks he couldn't lift himself, as if they were feathers. He it was extremely difficult for an outside observer to guess what emotions that favor had stirred up in canon. But as far as you could tell by watching him hang his head from behind, there was something that you just couldn't let go. Rather words escaped his lips, but those words he murmured were so soft that they didn't reach even his own ears. Callan hung his head, slightly biting his lower lip. And I think we'll stop right here. That makes for a good place to wrap it up. At least for tonight's save. That was an interesting start, I must say. It's very, very, very slow paced. I kinda like it. I didn't expect to stumble upon words that I didn't even know existed, but I guess you learn new things every day, especially when it's not your mother tongue. I am quite what's the word for it again? I am very much looking forward to how the events I know happen will be counted, and and to discover what I don't know about. We will probably keep going with this read through on Fridays. As for tomorrow, we will maybe pick up the Asa Saturday back. Maybe start Assassin's Creed Origins. Either that or we start Black Flag, because I don't really feel like finishing the Assassin's Creed 3 side missions. To be honest, what is left is the boring stuff. Well, we will see. I am not saying that I will do it. I am saying maybe I will do it. But in the meantime, I will thank you for your time, both on the stream and on the VODs. I will see you another day, and in the meanwhile, I wish you a good